Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive.
Oh, yeah. Back again.
Today, we're going to do a deep dive into this idea of finding a niche,
Okay.
specifically within the world of conversational hypnosis.
Ooh, all right. I'm intrigued.
And we're going to be looking at this training guide from Virginie.
Oh, Virginie Imir. Yeah. I've heard that name.
And, I think what's interesting about this particular deep dive is that it's focusing on how to actively discover your ideal niche.
Hmm.
So not just kind of passively waiting for it to come to you.
Yeah, yeah. Just sitting around going, I wonder what my niche is.
Right, exactly. And there's this really interesting idea that comes out in this training guide that, sometimes you have to go through some wrong niches to find the right one.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm curious to hear more about that.
So we're going to dive into that. So, right off the bat, Imir really emphasizes this idea of action over analysis.
Okay, yeah. Less thinking, more doing.
Right. So, just waiting and thinking endlessly is not going to magically reveal the perfect niche.
No, it won't. No.
She uses this great analogy. You wouldn't expect to master driving just by reading the car manual, would you?
No, you'd have to actually get behind the wheel.
They got to get behind the wheel.
You got to drive the car.
Right, you got to get out there and do it. And so that's kind of how she frames this idea of finding your niche. So even those niches that might not end up being your forever niche, they're not wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's more like they're like these valuable experiences that kind of pave the way.
So like stepping stones almost.
Exactly. And I think this is where it gets really interesting because, you think about it, you could spend 2 years waiting for the perfect niche to kind of magically appear to you.
Yeah.
Or you could spend 30 to 60 days just testing out a couple.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
And even if those don't work out, you've learned so much in such a shorter time period.
You have. You've put yourself out there. You've learned what works, what doesn't work.
Exactly. So, she kind of reframes this idea of failure as being like these quick learning experiences, almost like market research in a way.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
So within this training guide, she provides this program, this kind of step-by-step program. But what I thought was really interesting were the principles behind it.
Okay, yeah, the foundations.
So there's this idea of symptom hunting.
Okay. Sounds intriguing.
And, at first it sounds a little bit clinical, but really what it's about is understanding, like, what are the problems that people are facing?
Makes sense. So it's like figuring out what people are struggling with.
Yeah.
What issues they need help with.
Exactly. Problems that they are actively seeking solutions for.
Yeah, so like finding those pain points.
And that you could potentially address with conversational hypnosis.
Gotcha. So instead of saying I'm a conversational hypnotist, you'd be saying something like, I help people with this specific problem.
Exactly. So, for example, right, maybe someone is struggling with anxiety in social situations.
Right.
So instead of saying, I'm a conversational hypnotist, you would say, I help people overcome social anxiety.
Okay, I see. So you're framing your niche around a particular problem that people are already looking for help with.
Right. And it's almost like, I guess in the marketing world, they talk about, features versus benefits.
Right, yeah.
And it's kind of speaking to the benefits.
It is, yeah. Addressing the problem directly.
And how conversational hypnosis can, help them with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what happens if you try this, you identify a problem, you start trying to help people with it, but it doesn't really work out?
Yeah, what if you're just like, man, this anxiety thing, I don't know, it's just not working for me.
Yeah, what if you realize it's not your forte?
Have you wasted time?
Right, it's all that effort for nothing.
And this is where Imu's approach gets really interesting.
Okay.
She argues that there's no such thing as a wrong niche.
So even if you try something and it's not a good fit, it's still a valuable experience.
Exactly.
How so?
Because even those niches that didn't work out become data points.
Oh, interesting. Like little pieces of information that can help you figure things out?
Exactly.
Like doing your own market research almost?
It is. You're testing the waters. You're seeing what the demand is like.
Right. Finding out what resonates with people.
What language resonates with potential clients.
Yeah, and what their pain points actually are.
Exactly. And it's all in a relatively short amount of time.
That's the key, isn't it? It's much better than spending years just overthinking everything.
Right. Because think about it, 30 to 60 days testing out a couple of niches.
Yeah, that's doable.
It's so much more manageable than, like, agonizing over the perfect choice for years.
It is. And it stops you from getting stuck in that analysis paralysis.
Exactly. So she's advocating for this, test and learn approach.
Oh, yeah. Learning by doing.
Where even those initial, like, quote-unquote failures are actually just valuable learning experiences.
Right. It's all part of the process.
And then, it's not just about trying things out, blindly.
Right. There needs to be some method to the madness.
Right. She also provides a framework, right, for analyzing a potential niche.
Okay. So let's break down this framework. What comes after this symptom hunting?
So the next step is data analysis.
Right. Makes sense. So you're not just picking a niche based on a hunch. You're backing it up with data.
So you've identified a problem that people are having.
Right.
Now you have to go beyond just identifying it.
Okay.
And see, is there actually a market for it?
Gotcha. So, like, are people actively looking for solutions to this problem?
Exactly.
Are there forums online, communities dedicated to this topic?
So you're putting on your detective hat.
I like that.
You're looking for clues to see if this niche is actually viable.
Yeah, making sure there's a demand for what you're offering.
Exactly.
What are people searching for online?
Yeah, what keywords are they using? What are they talking about?
Okay, yeah.
Are there other people out there doing this successfully? Right.
So you're not just going with a gut feeling.
No, you're not just winging it. You're looking at real data.
You're backing it up with real data. And
Yeah.
then, this is an important part I think a lot of people maybe overlook, but the final element of her framework is economic viability.
Oh, yeah. The money question. Can you actually make a living doing this?
Right. So, passion is important,
Oh, of course. Yeah,
but it has to be sustainable. Right.
It does.
You have to be able to, pay your bills.
Yeah. Passion doesn't pay the bills, unfortunately.
Right. So you have to actually see, okay, are people willing to pay for the solutions that I'm offering?
Exactly.
Is there a way to, actually create a sustainable business out of this?
Okay. Yeah, that's the reality check.
So it's really like this three-pronged approach, right? Identifying that symptom, analyzing the data, and then evaluating the economics.
Right. It's a holistic approach, looking at it from all angles.
Exactly.
So once you've done this with a few potential niches, what happens then? Do you just pick the one that looks the best on paper? Well, and that's what I thought was interesting, right? Because you start to see patterns emerge.
So it becomes clearer what direction you should be heading in.
You get a clearer sense of what resonates with you, right?
Yeah, what you're good at.
What you're good at and what the market is actually looking for.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot.
Finding that sweet spot. And, you've talked about, data and economics, but I'm curious, what about passion?
Oh, yeah, good question. Where does that fit into all of this?
Where does that fit in?
Yeah.
How do you factor in following your passion, following your heart?
Yeah, that's an important
into this kind of equation.
It is. And it leads us to one of Imir's, I think, most important points. And that is, don't follow the crowd.
Don't be a sheep.
Exactly. It's tempting to see someone else, doing well in a particular niche.
Oh, yeah.
And just try to copy their formula.
Oh, 100%. Especially in a field like conversational hypnosis.
Yeah.
You see all these big personalities.
Yeah.
And everyone's got their own unique method. And you're like, yeah.
Oh, maybe I should try that.
Maybe I should do that.
But Imir is really arguing that authenticity is key.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So your niche should really be an extension of your own skills, passions, values.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be you.
It does. It has to be authentic to you.
So how do you balance that, though, with the data and the economics?
Yeah, good question.
How do you find that sweet spot where your passion actually aligns with a genuine need in the market?
Yeah, it's a process.
Okay.
And it goes back to that idea of testing the waters.
Okay.
As you're experimenting with these different niches, you start to get a feel for what energizes you, what feels natural, what you could actually see yourself doing long term.
So even if the data looks good,
yeah,
the economics seem viable. If you're not excited about it, it's not going to be a good fit.
It's not, no.
It's almost like you got to get that little tingle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to feel that spark.
You got to feel that spark, yeah. It's like finding that intersection between what you love, what you're good at, and what people are willing to pay for.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot.
It's like that Venn diagram.
Yes.
All those circles overlap.
That's exactly it.
That's where you want to be.
Yeah. And that's what's great about this whole approach.
Okay.
It gives you a structured framework to find that.
So instead of feeling overwhelmed by the endless possibilities, you've got a roadmap to guide you.
And every step on that roadmap, even the wrong turns, they're bringing you closer to where you need to be.
That's reassuring.
It is.
Especially for anyone listening who's feeling stuck at the starting lines or I don't even know where to begin.
It's all about taking action, gathering information,
Yeah.
trusting the process.
We've covered a lot today.
We have.
We've talked about symptom hunting,
Yeah.
data analysis, economics,
Viability, authenticity.
What stands out to you as the most important takeaway?
For me,
Yeah.
it's the action.
Okay.
Taking action.
Action over analysis.
Over analysis, yes.
Don't get stuck in your head.
You don't need all the answers right away.
You don't.
Just pick a potential niche, test it out.
Don't let the fear of making the wrong choice paralyze you.
Exactly, because even the wrong choices can give you good insight.
And those insights will lead you to
a niche that's
not just profitable, but also
fulfilling.
Fulfilling, yeah.
And speaking of fulfilling,
I
have a question for our listeners. So for our listeners out there,
yeah.
What are some small steps you could take today?
Oh, today?
Yeah.
Okay.
To start exploring some potential niches.
Okay.
Even if you're not 100% sure what they are yet.
You know what? Maybe jot down a list of problems that people face that you think conversational hypnosis could help with.
Or maybe even do some research on those problems.
Okay.
See what's out there.
Like what kind of information?
Yeah. See what people are searching for.
Yeah.
See what's already being done.
Okay, yeah.
See if there's any gaps.
That's like a good idea.
You could even reach out to some people you know.
Okay.
See if they've ever tried conversational hypnosis.
Yeah, get some feedback.
Yeah, get their take on it.
Anything to get those wheels turning.
Absolutely. Anything to get you started.
Yeah, start gathering that data.
Exactly.
Because that perfect niche, it's not something you just stumble upon.
It's not a lucky break.
You got to create it.
You do.
It's through exploration, experimentation,
and self-discovery.
Self-discovery.
Yeah.
So to all our listeners out there who are feeling inspired
to
dive into this world of conversational hypnosis, you've got this.
You do.
Trust yourself.
Yes.
Take action.
Take action. Absolutely.
And have fun along the way.
Have fun. Yeah.
That's the most important part.
It is. Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Until
next time, happy niching.
Happy niching.